I'm combining two great loves of my childhood, Hot Wheels and Lego, to create this build of the iconic Paddy Wagon. We're going to take it apart using the wonders of stop-motion animation. But don't worry, we'll cover all the subcomponents in greater detail as we go along. All credit is due to Tom Daniel, my favorite show rod designer. He never actually worked for Hot Wheels. He worked for Monogram, which was Mattel's scale model division. Many of his designs were adapted into Hot Wheels models, including the school bus shown here, the iconic Red Baron, Ice-T, no, not that Ice-T, this Ice-T, and countless others. The Paddy Wagon's based on a 1912 Ford Model T C-Cab police van. Along with its twin-scoop small-block Ford Cobra engine, it also has brass-era details like finely curved railings and even police precinct globe light fixtures. The Paddy in Paddy Wagon is actually a pejorative term for Irishmen because they commonly had the name Patrick, Paddy for short. At the turn of the century, one of the few civil service jobs open to Irish immigrants was being a cop, and once they got in, they got all their friends and relatives onto the force in the major cities. My Irish great-grandfather was never a cop, but he was named Paddy, so I don't take offense, and I hope you don't either. You can see here how the Uga horn, the bars on the window, and the police globe light fixture were all incorporated into the Hot Wheels model. Now we're going to get down to the details of the actual build. We're going to start with the cab. Due to my lack of proper curve pieces, I did my best to approximate the inner curve of the C-cab. Here's the combined upper and lower portions of the cab, taken off in one unit from the chassis. Here's a look at the bottom, which includes the base of the benches, which we'll look at later. There's just the top of the cab, and you can see the curved pieces on the top, which are two different lengths. The longer of the two curved pieces are punched out from below in this shot, and you can see that subassembly here. I didn't have enough dark blue pieces, so I had to hide this 1x1 angled piece. You can see here in the center of the screen. The shortage of dark blue pieces affected some of the design decisions, as you'll see. The prisoners' seating inside the back are supposed to be slatted wooden benches, done on my Hot Wheels car in smoked metallic. Because my cab was so narrow, I had to really economize on the depth of the seating. I would recommend using smoked metallic pieces that Lego makes, but since I didn't have enough of those parts, I just used dark gray. When you compare the widths of the cabs between my model and the Hot Wheels car, you can see proportionally that my cab is much narrower, and this is mainly because I didn't have enough dark blue parts. What we're looking at here is the back step. On Tom Daniel's original model, he had filigreed railings. The Hot Wheels designers had to adapt by making a solid S-shaped step. Here's what I came up with to approximate that shape, and here's how the step is attached. The front seat is also supposed to be a wooden bench. I built the seat back into the inside of the cab, and here's the seat itself. Here I chose to use silver vent pieces, which is how Hot Wheels did the interior of one version of this car. Speaking of versions, here we see the original model from 1970. It featured a painted grille, clear windshield, dark interior, polished metal base plate, and redline tires. On this 1978 version, we see black wall tires. The interior was polished metal, but the base plate was black plastic. Other cost-saving moves were to dispense with the windshield and stop painting the grille. Which says 1912 fuzz, by the way. I always thought that was cool. To form the back fenders, I used these segmented interlocking pieces. You can see that these pieces are actually just floating, so the shape of the fender and the flat piece of the back can be adjusted up or down relative to the top of the tire and the body line on the side of the van. Let's see. Perfect. For the front fenders, I used the same segmented pieces to make the curve. A nice touch I would suggest would be to use black electrical tape to smooth out the tops of the fenders, and the bottoms for that matter. When you compare the fenders between the Hot Wheels model and my Lego version, you can see my model is missing the inner faces of the fenders. I haven't figured out how to do that yet. If you have any ideas, please leave a comment below. Now we're going to take a look at the windshield. The Lego windshield piece I used doesn't really work. The piece is too long and it just kind of floating in midair at the bottom. This only looks good on the model from certain angles. There may be a shorter window piece out there that'll work. The headlights are just held in by gravity. Each one is made from a funky zigzag piece and a little cylindrical piece. And here they are, that's all there is to it. Next, we're going to pull the twin scoops off the top of the engine. To match the original design, I stepped the passenger side scoop back a half stud. While we're at the engine, I'm going to take off the firewall and we'll take a look at the side panels. I couldn't figure out what these boxy sideboards were supposed to be, but looking back at Tom Daniel's model, the design shows fine railing and a little running board platform. Because that would have been too difficult to cast, the Hot Wheels designers just decided to make solid sideboards. This is what those sideboards and the firewall look like off the car. When we pull off the radiator, you can see it's just a hodgepodge of the few silver parts I had to work with. The various silver engine pieces are mostly sourced from the Mega Block Hot Wheels Twin Mill kit, which you may recognize from a video I did earlier. I'll put a link in the description. The engine itself is offset. It is only 3 studs wide, so underneath I use these offsetting pieces to center it. Here's a better look at the passenger side cylinder bank. For the louver pieces in front of the grille, I use these black vent pieces. Here's the front of the car without the grille or the engine. And here's a side view of the chassis with everything removed except for the bench seat and the rear fenders. I even went as far as following the general shape of the bottom of the Hot Wheels car. Looking at my source car, you can see that it is a 25th anniversary version. Make sure you don't get taken by unscrupulous people trying to pass this off as an original 1970 version. Interestingly, the 1978 version has the text going in the opposite direction. Perhaps the neatest and definitely the most fun feature is that the little Hot Wheels car fits neatly inside the back of my Lego model. Thanks for coming along with me on a trip down memory lane. This model was a blast to make, and I want to thank you for watching, sharing, and subscribing. Thanks a lot, y'all. Bye.